It's talking about the gates, right? Upon the earth. Now let's go to the blue letter. Jeremiah 14. In this video, we're not going to get a lot of hits on this video because, if we had, Peggy Sue kissing our boots, it'd be 20,000 hits, Jake likes that surface shit, man,
Yeah, you're not going to get many comments. I just got something real quick while Apostle Tara gets that. This is in the Josephus again. I believe this is Antiquity of the Jews. I had to go back up to find it. But this is chapter 2. It says, when Alexander had reigned 12 years, and after him Ptolemy sorted 40 years, Philadelphus then took the kingdom of Egypt. Then took the kingdom of Egypt and held it 40 years. Within one, he procured the law to be interpreted and set free those that were come from Jerusalem into Egypt and were in slavery there. It says, who were 120,000, 278, I guess that's BC. The occasion was this: Demetrius Philarius, who was library keeper to the king, was now endeavoring, if it were possible, to gather together all the books that were in the habitable earth, and buying whatsoever was anywhere valuable or agreeable to the king's inclination, who was very earnestly set upon collecting of books, to which inclination of his Demetrius was zealously subservient. And when once Ptolemy asked him how many 10,000s of books had he collected, he replied that he had already about 20 times 10,000, but that in a little time he should have 50 times 10,000. But he said he had been informed that there were many books of the laws already about 20 times, among the Jews who were worthy of inquiring after and worthy of the king's library, but which being written in characters and in a dialect of their own will cause no small pains in getting them translated into the Greek tongue, that the character in which they are written seems to be like to that which is the proper character of the Syrians, and that its sounds when pronounced is like theirs also, and that this sound appears to be peculiar to themselves. Wherefore he said that nothing hindered why they might not get those books to be translated also. For while nothing is wanting that is necessary for that purpose, we may have their books also in this library. So the king thought that Demetrius was very zealous to procure his abundance of books, and that he suggested what was exceeding proper for him to do, and accordingly he wrote to the Jewish high priest that he should act accordingly. So that was the decree that was given by King Ptolemy the second, Philadelphus, to send his librarian to send messages to the Israelites in Israel to send priests so that they can translate the laws of the scriptures into the Greek tongue, which was called the Septuagint.
Yeah, and according to this account, it said that they had 6 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Big question mark. I want to show you something. No. Yeah, hold the mic. I looked up Aramaic, right? That's Aramaic. That's what we're reading out of.
Like, we've been saying that through the Spirit that you had a scattering of the other tribes that stayed, even after the 10 tribes left, you had a scattering that stayed back. And this is even more proof. And it was based upon what the apostle...
But you didn't have them in big numbers.
No, you didn't have them in big numbers. And this is based upon what the apostle James said when he wrote his letter to the 12 tribes which were scattered abroad greeting. And we know through the Spirit that when he said scattered abroad, it means outside of Jerusalem. Because anything that was scattered outside of the land of Jerusalem, in particular, well, really the land of Israel, was considered abroad.
Yeah, they could have been in Damascus. They could have been in other parts of Bethlehem. They could have been in Asia Minor,
And to show you it's a spiritual thing, even I remember back in the islands when you had people that went to England, they would say, oh, he went abroad. He's traveling abroad. So that's an Israelite thing,
That's right. Now it says here in the blue letter, Jeremiah 14:2, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem. Give me Song of Solomon. You know what I want, brother. You know, one. Now it says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is going up. So scholars would tell you, well, the black is the gates, right? And that's what it says in the so-called Septuagint, right? Now in the Hebrew, it says Yahwadah. What does Yahwadah mean? It's a compound word, the name of the Most High, Yahweh, and Adah or Yada or Dawada, which means Yahweh thanks. All right? It says Yahwadah, Abal mourneth, Sha'ir, the gates, Amal, a languishing, Qadar, black. So now you think the gates are black, but it's talking about the children of Israel. Aratazar, like the ground. Yaroshalom, which means, that's a compound word. It means city of peace. Jerusalem is what they would say in English. Allah went up or going up, all right? So, we read the word Judah, Yahwadah, right? Then we read about the gates, and then we're going to come down to they are black. The word there is Qadar, right? Now, when you click on that word in the Hebrew, this is what it says. It says, mourn, black, dark, blackish, darken, heavenly, right? To mourn, be dark, they're getting close. To be dark, to darken, to cause to mourn, to grow dark, right? Now you got Song of Solomon, 1.
This is Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black, but comely, all ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. The key word there is Kedar. I'm going to click on it. It says, I am black. The word for black is Shakawara. And Shakor. And then the word, he says, as the tents of Kedar. Kedar comes from the Hebrew word Qadar, which is the same word in Jeremiah 14:2.
But the examples are different. The definition is different. Read the definitions in Song of Solomon.
Definition of Qadar in Songs of Solomon, it says dark, son of Ishmael, the descendants of Kedar. You go down to the Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, black skin man.
That's what I wanted. They didn't say that in Jeremiah when you clicked it. So if you knew the Hebrew and you said, yo, no, they ain't black, it's talking about the gates.
They're being deceptive.
Exactly. That's why they call it devil.
And the same
Diabolos.
thing. Yeah, the same thing with Qadar. I looked up one of the sons of Ishmael, which his name was Kedar. And you look up Kedar in the Hebrew, the same word is there. Qadar. And it says
the Ishmaelites were dark. They were one of the sons of he was one of the sons of Abraham.
Yeah.
So Abraham was dark.
Yeah.
Sarah had to be dark. So Ishmael, his firstborn, had to be dark.
And that's what they said.
So his son was one of his sons would probably be super dark.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, when you look it up, it says black skin man. The same thing that it says for Song of Solomon, right?
Con. And then when you look up the word black, a Song of Solomon, the Hebrew word shakar, it says when you look down to the Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it says black used of hair, and it gives you Leviticus. It says a horse, Zechariah, and then blackish color of the face. It says Canticles 1 and 5, which is Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. So it let you know that color that King Solomon had was the color of his face or the color of his body. You know, so that's why he said, "I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar," because Ishmael called his son Kedar because he was very dark when he came out.
Dark brown.
Yeah,
Okay, so
go
ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say how when you'll see it in post production, they're being deceptive because the people that control the Blue Letter Bible, they that's the Masoretes, right? The Masoretes, they're really so-called Jews. It goes back to the so-called Jews, and they're being deceptive because when you look up Quadah,
they labor to produce. What did they produce? Confusion, man. So if you were really into studying, if you was a studious person and you really like a divine prospect, he's very studious, but he's confused. Because them books that he reads out of, he'll find a certain root. Then Esau, then when he comes up to us, his mind is boggled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't get this truth by reading Esau's books. We go into Esau's books just to confirm or back up what these scriptures are saying.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, when you go to Kedar, which is the son of Ishmael in Genesis, you look up the word Kedar, you'll see Quadah in the Hebrew. You'll see it says black skin or black skinned man. But however, the same word is there in Jeremiah 14:2, but you don't see that. You don't see black or black skinned man. You see to be foul, turbid, to be of a blackish color. So they're being deceptive. They just don't want to attribute that the real Jews.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
They're supposed to do that. So why get mad at them? Don't get mad. That's their job.
That's their job.
You
So
know?
what we're doing
Our job is to decipher all this stuff for these other people out here, man.
That's it.
To set the record straight for
So-
the other elect.
Right. So
Not all Israel,
Yep.
the other elect.
Yeah, we're showing you the deception, That's
And
it.
the reason why I said the other elect, get me Romans 11:7.
And that's why, like Elder Apostle Tal mentioned earlier, you got guys trying to go into the Blue Letter Bible. And
You ain't got no business going into the Blue Letter Bible.
Then you run into a
you
roadblock.
ain't on a level to go into the Blue Letter Bible.
Yeah, like the Lima with his fantastical
I'm
breakdown
not even going to talk on him.
of the chip. You got a righteous microchip, or the wicked microchip.
Which one is it?
Which one is it?
Oh boy, Romans 11:7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
So just because you're an Israelite, you can still be lost, because the Most High only gave it to the elect of Israel.
You got to be in the right source.
Now we're going to go back to the chat over here.
Christianity. And so, yes, go ahead.
Would it be fair to say that the Moors of history and the Hebrews of history
Same people.
That's what I was going to ask.
This is
Were
one
they
of the
same
biggest
people?
frauds
Right.
that has come down the pike that causes divisions with our people.
Right. What came to split though? Because now you got a
The
group that's
split,
saying the Moors
this
and
is
then
the
a group
split. Let's
saying
look,
Hebrews.
even those dynamics.
Yes.
Even those dynamics. And what you'll find is most of the time that will come from people who come from what we have come to call schools of thought. However, when you go back into history, and this is one of the things that I recognize that's terribly injurious to us, even in our dealings with each other, which will demonstrate as soon as you see them getting together arguing dogma and calling it religion, because most of the masses don't get religion. And that's not an attack on anyone, that's just simply the truth.
But the Hebrews say that it's
Yeah.
not a religion.
But listen.
Yeah,
Let's
it's a nationality for them.
Let's
That's what
let's
they
come.
say.
I'm not arguing that.
Right.
I am saying we are the same people. We, the Moors of the North Gate, are referred to as the Ibri, which some people call Hebrew. It is no Hebrew, it's Ibri. That's those of us who crossed the river. It cannot be emphasized enough. There is no difference between us and our brothers and sisters on the other side of.
All right, come on back. You handle it since you.
Yeah, no. He said Ibri means those that pass over the rivers. That's not what the word means, because that word was first applied to a man named Eber. When you go back as Ibar, when you go back to what the so-called scholars call the Table of Nations,
and it simply means pass. Yeah. Now, if you go across a river or a bridge, it is the pass. It is the pass because it's in the past. The other side of the river that you left is in the past. So what it means was pass or the pass.
All right. So it says, this is Genesis chapter 10, verse 21. And it says, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. Now, Shem was not the father of Eber. That was his grandson down the line. Because Shem's 5 sons was the children of Shem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. The reason why I said Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, was because that line of Eber was going to be the one that's going to keep the original Hebrew language alive. They're the ones that kept that language. So that's why it was called Eber, after this man, Ibar, from the past. Because that was in the past. That was a language that all nations spoke at one time. So that's what the name means. Now, the reason why they say other definitions, just like Eustace Mullins might say that the word Hebrew comes from the word Habiru, which means cutthroats and thieves. No, that's not where the word comes from. The word Hebrew comes from Ibar, which means the past. So the word Hebrew really, it is true it doesn't exist because that's like an English form of the word, but the original language or the original word going back to the original language is Ibar. You had something to say, Apostle Gabar?
No, yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, to add to what you said, if you go to the 25th verse, it says, and unto Eber, which is Ibar, when you read it in the Hebrew, were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. That's right. How was the earth divided? By the different languages, taking us back to the Tower of Babel, which means Babel means confusion.
Yeah, the word pelag, if you read it, you can double check me. It means to divide, okay?
Yeah, pelag, yep. And they were divided by the different languages. But you had to have a people to keep the original language. And that was Eber, which that's Norman Omen, which name prediction.
Yeah, because out of the 5 sons of Shem, the chosen line went through Arphaxad. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Arphaxad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber. So really, Eber was like the great-grandson of Shem. And that's where the line went down through. All the way down to you go through Terah, down into, Lamech, Terah, down into Abraham, or Abram at the time, which his name later was changed to Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob. And that's where the chosen line stopped, with Jacob. And all the children that came out of Jacob, they were part of that chosen line. And they kept the language of the past. They kept those old traditions, the old customs, because there's no such thing as religion. Religion is man-made. All right? So, what we read earlier in the Josephus, that the so-called Hebrew language and the Syrian language, which today they call, if you go back into the past, is Aramaean, or Aram, one of the sons of Shem, Aram. Those languages are similar. The characters look different, but when they're spoken, they sound similar. But there's a difference in the 2 languages, because the ancient Hebrew Ibar, that was a more pure language of the 2. That's why we call it Lashawan Kodash,